Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Wednesday, the 22nd of October. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about how you get to choose, you know, how to run your shop. But where do we go wrong when it comes to running a shop or being a mechanic in the shop? Stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And yes, this is weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Wednesday, the 22nd of October of 2025. Biggest mistakes that I see in the shop, and it happens to the best of us, and that is you need structure in a shop. You do. I don't care if you're a one-man band or you're a group of 10 or 20 or 30. You have to have some kind of a structure in the shop. And what do I mean by structure? I mean a given way of doing certain things, all right? And you can't deviate from that and expect to get any progress done in the shop. And what am I talking about? Prime example is you have 10 units that come in, and you as a mechanic, instead of getting on one and staying on one, you're jumping all over the place. And in the process of jumping all over the place, trying to knock out this one and that one, and everything is half repaired, it's just sitting there. Stop. It's sitting there in parts. You're not making any headway. And what are you also doing? You're not putting down, this is what I mean by structure. You're not putting down the actual time you're working on a unit. You're not putting down the parts that you're using on units because you're in a hurry. And we talked about this, Claude and I did yesterday, is when you do that, you end up giving away oil filters, fuel filters, gas. That adds up. Gas in the shop. It does. It adds up big time. One of the biggest bills that I have per month is just fuel. And that is in my truck as well as what we use in the shop, right? But if it doesn't get written down on a bill, who pays for it? I do. The shop does. And, we talk about staying profitable. Being profitable business is not a bad thing. Your customers want you to remain profitable in order to stay there so that they can use you to fix their problems. They don't want you losing money, because if you're losing money, you're not going to be in business long. You could only lose money for just so long, and then you're done, right? So structure is, there's a certain way that the expectations are to do a quick diagnostic, and then if it just needs a service, do the service, and look at all the other things from front to back, right? It sounds easy enough. But if you start getting into a yank and you start working on this one, and you say, well, I'm going to start draining the oil, okay? And you already replaced the fuel filter, your oil filter is sitting there, and you're draining the oil out of it right now. There's a lot of other things that you could be doing on that unit, from greasing it to checking the belts, checking the transmission fluid, blowing off the deck, scraping the deck underneath. I mean, there's so many things that you could be doing with that machine. But if you leave that machine and go over and start a second one, that's where you're not running a structured shop. And you're going to say, yeah, but if I can get more done, we're making more money, right? In the end, you're not. Because what ends up happening is I don't want to have to chase somebody around and say, did you put down an oil filter? Did you put down a fuel filter? Did you put down the spark plugs? Did you put down the gas you put in it? Because you drain the system and you put gas in it. How much gas did you put in it? Roughly. And we go by gallon. We don't play this, unless it's a wood splitter or something like that. But all that stuff has got to be trackable and got to be paid for. Because if not, at the end of the day, those things that didn't get written down and the customer didn't pay for comes out of the end of day profit or loss. And sometimes you get mechanics and employees that it's like, well, it's not my problem. It's not my stuff. I'm just here to do a job. No, you're not. You're doing more than a job. If you got employees that are not willing to work hand in hand together with you, get rid of them. The last thing you need is to fight with an employee. I don't care how good they are. Get rid of them. Because I can guarantee you there's no business in town that will deal with an employee that will not do what you ask them to do. And they could be the best mechanic out there. But that's what I mean by structure in the shop. You have to have some kind of structure, and it has to be somehow related to profit and loss of the business. And the structure needs to be, when you get in the morning, we talked about this the other day. When you get in there in the morning with your cup of coffee, do a reset. I do mine around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Do a reset and just say, okay, whatever happened in the past is not going to carry over into today. Today's going to be a good day. Thinking happy thoughts, right? So you get your reset done. And that's the same thing when it gets to the shop. If you have coffee during the day or in the morning at the shop, grab a cup of coffee, have a sit down with your employees, talk about what you're going to try to get accomplished today, and then go from there. I'm not saying that your employees don't have any say in what goes on in the business, because I trust my employees. But I trust them to do what they're supposed to do, and if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, I will call them out. By themselves, I'll pull them in and say, look, this is not working. I do the actual billing at the end of the day. We have a sheet on every customer that comes in, a repair slip. And on that repair slip, we put down what parts we put into it, and also the actual hours, time spent on that unit. And if it's an hour and 20 minutes, it's an hour and 20 minutes. So in our shop, it ends up being you're charged for an hour and a half instead of an hour and 20. If it's an hour and 10, it's an hour. You see what I'm saying? Just round it. But every part needs to be on there. And you need to mark your parts up. Not big time. Just you need to make some money on those parts. Everybody else does, so do you. At the end of the day, you need to be profitable. And sometimes your employees can give you the best advice on how to become profitable, if you're not in tune to what they're doing. Never sell your business short or your reputation short. If you follow a few golden rules, treat others as you would hope to be treated. Not as you've been treated, as you would hope to be treated. Do a good, fair job on every customer that comes through. You need to have nothing but excellence on every unit that goes out that door. Even if it takes a little longer, it takes a little longer. And you're going to say, well, the longer you spend on it, the more the bill is. And I don't know if the customer can afford to pay that kind of money. That's your call at the end of the day. If I get a bill done up and I look at it and I go out and look at the lawnmower and say, okay, what would I put into that machine? Because we've run into instances of where Claude will get ahead of me and go ahead and do something where it should have been the customer involved before we even did that. That should have been one of those deals of let me call the customer and make sure it's okay so they don't get hit with a huge bill. Because if when we do that and we don't call, guess what happens? Moi, as a shop owner, takes the hit because the customer wasn't notified and told what needed to be done. Now, I'll lay it right out when the customer comes in and say, this is the bill, this is why it's what it is. And if they're okay with the bill and they pay it, that's great. If not, that's where I have to take the hit because they should have been notified. You can't get into such a hurry that you leave out the most important part of the puzzle, and that is your customer. And letting them know that you're trying to protect their wallet and their livelihood. And coming up with the best advice, examples of what can be done going forward. You don't... I hear people say, well, fuel filters, engine oil, hydraulic transmission oil, fuel, it doesn't add up to be that much. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And if I know a machine came through for a service and there's none of those parts on it, and I have to go out and ask Claude, did you put a fuel filter on it? Did you put an oil filter on it? Did you put spark plugs in it? Did you replace the air filter? How much gas did you put in? Then he's not doing his job. Because the sheet is blank. Because he got in such a big hurry to start the first one, he jumped over onto the second one without getting the sheet started. And then it wasn't bad enough on the second one, started on the third one before the second and the first one were done, even though we had the parts in stock to finish it. That's what I mean. And I'm guilty of that just as much as he is, where I get in a big yank and I'll start going to town, Like I say, I don't care if you're a business owner and you're the mechanic too, you're a one-man band, you need structure in your shop on how things are going to go. And at the end of the day, hopefully, you're profitable. Hopefully. Because your customer does want to keep you around. Where else are they going to take their mower? And if you do quality work and you keep them involved, just the referrals they will give you to their friends. Jason, you mentioned word of mouth. That's what most of our business is word of mouth. Of doing quality work for a fair price. I have customers that think that price equals professionalism. So if they go to a shop in town that's charging $120 to $150 an hour, they're getting better mechanics, better service, and everything else than we could provide here in our shop. And that simply is not true. Not even remotely close. I personally think you're going to get a better experience, even with someone like you, Jason, of a one-man band that wears all the hats and does quality work for a fair price, than a shop that's got 10 employees, 10 mechanics, and 3 out front for customer service and sales. And they're usually hiring people that have minimal experience. Where your one-man bands or your small shops, they've got years of experience. And yes, The tides are constantly changing. If you don't stay with the times, you will get left behind. We're looking at CDI boxes in the last few years on mowers, and we ran into a Cub Cadet that had it's all electronic for throttling systems and all that. And it's here. If you don't know how to do and fix those things, you will get left behind. The old updraft Briggs and Stratton carburetors are of the past. Yeah, they were a tank compared to what we have today. So what do we have going on in the shop? Well, we got a wood splitter from Tractor Supply, and we got 2 Cub Cadet zero turns. Wood splitter. Valves are off terrible. Water in the fuel. We drained the system, all fresh gas, and we had some more water show up, so must be I didn't let it run long enough through the system. And we got that running good. That's all ready to go back. Zero turn with the 54-inch cut on it, no, the 42-inch cut on it, wouldn't stay running. And it ended up being crap in the carburetor. We had to tear the whole carburetor apart, and the choke was sticking. So that one is all done. We ended up putting a new fuel pump, new fuel filter, and adjusted the arm controls on the zero turn. That's done and parked out in the other bay. The last one that we picked up, they came as a group on 3 of them on my trailer. The last one was one for an oil leak, and it looked to me like hydraulic fluid, like coming out of the transaxle somewhere. And so we let it sit there and run and moved it back and forth and else. And then we pulled the plugs on both transaxles, and they're both at full. So they didn't lose any oil. So we tightened that all back up, buttoned that all up. And we noticed that the dipstick on the engine oil was down a little bit between the middle of add and full shell. So Claude reached his hand up in there yesterday morning, and sure enough, his hand was soaked with oil. And it's looking almost like the crank seal is leaking. So we end up pulling that engine and popping the bottom end apart. I ordered a new crank seal for it. And I know they're not going to be happy, but it is what it is. Here's the deal if you're dealing with Tractor Supply. If a unit goes out and the customer brings it back and they give the customer the money back or another unit, that machine is now considered used. It is. And had the customer got a hold of Cub Cadet, they would have assigned a dealership close by, and that crank seal would have been put in on a warranty slip because it's a brand new machine. But now that all this stuff has been taking place, now Tractor Supply owns a quote-unquote used machine. So we are going to replace the crank seal on it, but Tractor Supply is going to have to pay the labor for all that stuff. And then if they want to go after Briggs and Stratton or Kohler, that's up to them. But Monday we ended up going to Sam's Club in Watertown after work. And then yesterday I had cardiac rehab. And then today I'm going to visit my wife up in Tupper Lake. So I feel like I've been on the road steady. So in the comments, I'm getting off on a tangent here. In the comments, what do you think about structure? What kind of structure do you have in your shop or in your business? Is there a certain way that you go about things? And are you paying attention to detail that at the end of the day, you need to remain profitable? If not, then you're not going to be there for your customers. So on that note, you guys have a great Wednesday. Catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning for another episode of The Weekday.